Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Wonderful. How are you?
Very good. Got a guest coming up later in the program, Kat Kronenberg. We're going to be talking about Dream Big. I'm a big dreamer. Mm-hmm. Maybe too much sometimes. Mm-hmm. So much so it makes my wife over here very nervous.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's still a good thing, though. We'll be chatting with Kat coming up later in the program. I've got a quote for you here as well. It's for this Wednesday, Dr. Armand Hammer, and it says, "When I work 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, I get lucky." So there you go.
Okay.
And I agree. You know, it seems like the harder you work, the luckier you get. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
And by the way, if you want to be lucky, today is your final day to win the prize on our Facebook page. They had sent us some digital copies of the Marine 5 Battleground. And if you're a wrestling fan, you'll love this movie because there's a bunch of wrestlers. More WWE wrestlers in this movie than any other movie in existence. So if you're a big fan of wrestling, you're going to want to go to facebook.com/John and Heidi Show and sign up to win. Today is the final day. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. Today is Wednesday, April the 26th. That means today is Audubon Day. It is National Golf Day. It is Hug an Australian Day. Imagine if they're a golfer. You can hug an Australian golfer.
Knock out two birds with one stone?
Yeah, and international...
Two birdies.
Yeah. International Guide Dog Day today. Lesbian Visibility Day. National Help a Horse Day. National Kids and Pets Day, National Pretzel Day, Richter Scale Day, World Intellectual Property Day, Administrative Professionals Day, and it says /Secretaries Day. So if you're a secretary or an administrative professional, today is your day. And there are some people who do both of those jobs, and there's other places where that's two separate things. So either way, celebrate that today. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday.
John and Heidi.
How much do you pay for cable or satellite? Don't forget your DVR rental fees and online movie accounts. When you add it all up, many people are paying well over $100 a month. Some pay way more. What if you could cut that down to zero? There's a device that surfs the net to find shows and programs you like with no monthly fee. Many have already cut their cable or tossed out their dish. If you have internet and a TV, you're all set. Learn more about this awesome technology that can save you money every month at channelsurfertv.com. Use promo code RADIO to save 25% at channelsurfertv.com.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. I know this is going to shock you, Heidi. I mean, you're going to be absolutely stunned and amazed about this study. You're never going to believe it, although I know you're going to believe it. It says, believe it or not, more medical care won't necessarily make you healthier. As a matter of fact, more medical care may make you sicker.
I agree with that completely.
I know we've had this conversation because we've talked about friends of ours who have kids that are always going to see the doctor for every little sniffle.
And they're sick all the time.
Yeah, and then we've got kids that, you know, our kids are like, oh, hey, look, I broke my arm. And you're like, walk it off.
You're fine.
If that's not broken, I'll break it myself.
I walked off a broken ankle. You can walk off a broken arm.
So, I'm not even kidding. We didn't realize it was broken, but our daughter fell and broke her arm, and Heidi thought she was just being dramatic. She's like, whatever, you're fine. The next day they went in.
I did know my broken ankle was broken, though, and I just bandaged it and walked it off like a trooper.
I did this. We both did that.
Took about 6 months, but
believe it or
fine.
not,
it only twitches when it rains.
Heidi and I both had a broken ankle that we walked off. Now, which one of us do you think had alcohol involved?
That was definitely you.
No, it was you. It was absolutely you. No, I slipped on the ice going out to get the mail. You slipped on the ice.
I slipped on the ice?
I know. And fell on your ice because you were drinking too much.
I found the only patch of ice in the entire state
pretty
that
much.
night.
That's pretty much what it was. Hey, we should probably get back to this story, though. It says, it's an idea that technology-loving Americans find hard to believe, but a new study seems to indicate that anywhere from 1/5 to 1/3 of the tests and treatments that we get are deemed to be unnecessary, and they actually make you potentially sicker than you were before, at least in your head. So, you know, there are people, what's it called? Hypochondriacs?
Mm-hmm.
And a hypochondriac
I have
thinks
a
they're
lot
sick
of
all the
those
time.
in my family.
I know you do. Yeah, it kind of runs in the family. And our daughter has a little bit of that, doesn't she?
She seems to.
She's like, oh no, I got a
Yeah.
sniffle. I think I have anthrax. I'm like,
She
"Yay."
seems to. So I just
maybe not
flat out
bad.
say, no, you're not going to
That's
the
why
doctor.
when she got a broken arm, she's like, I don't think you have a broken arm, sweetie. And then it turns out it
was broken.
broken.
I did feel really
You
terrible.
felt awful. She's like, you want to go get some
How do
ice
you
cream?
know, though, when somebody's calling Wolf all the time?
Yeah,
you
she was
can't-
crying wolf a lot. Anyway, Mother of the Year. Coming up, we've got your brain on drugs on the way.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. Hey, do you ever get the feeling you forgot something important? I
Yeah.
forgot to do something like, what did I forget? I know there's something. Well, a deputy in Indianapolis, Deputy Tucker Parker, might have had that same feeling for a couple of days. That's how long he left a 21-year-old inmate, James Logan, in the court holding cell with no food. 2 days.
Oh, my gosh.
He simply forgot to take him back to the county jail Friday after a sentencing on cocaine dealing and possession charges. The cell had running water and a toilet, but Logan was left alone with no food for more than 48 hours.
Oh, my gosh.
Sheriff Department spokesperson Julio Fernandez said he completely forgot. He just forgot the guy was in there. End quote. Logan was finally discovered by other officers Sunday and
Oh,
transferred to
my
the jail.
gosh.
Deputy Parker was fired, and 2 others were suspended over this incident. Meantime, something tells us Mr. Logan is going to have a pretty good lawsuit.
Oh, yeah,
brewing
he's going to
there,
sue.
so.
You bet.
Yeah, so that's too bad. They should have some sort of indication that there's somebody in there, like a light,
A light,
or
yeah.
you
Light
know,
should be on or something.
a video camera showing what they're doing, so you can't walk out and forget them. There's got to be some sort of fail-safe on that. That's a bad idea. Anyway, we've got your moment of duh on the way.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh from France. First of all, I got to just say, we don't have nearly enough stories that come from France, do we? I mean, we hardly ever have the French in the
Well,
news.
there's really not a lot that happens in France.
Well, this did. French authorities were called to a robbery location, and they found the suspect stuck in a hole that he made with a hammer in a store window. So we're talking about broken glass. We're not talking about busting through concrete.
ouch.
We're talking about breaking out glass with a hammer. So he busted a hole in the window, thought, oh, that's big enough for me to get through.
It wasn't.
Started climbing in. He was halfway in and halfway out, where that's when he realized, okay, I can't reach back in and grab the hammer because that's down by my feet, and I can't grab it with my feet. So what am I going to do? And he just wiggled for a while until he was arrested. So,
Oh, my gosh.
note to self, first of all, don't do that. Don't break into places. But if you're going to break out a window, just break the entire window out. They have to
it's not like
replace
you're
the whole
saving
thing
them
anyway.
any money.
No. I mean, why would you have done that? That makes no sense. It's like a friend of mine who
I'm
was...
surprised he could get stuck in broken glass without it shattering more, because once it's broken, it's not strong.
Must have been some pretty strong glass. I don't know what
Must have
happened
been.
there. Anyway, we'll just move on. We have your scoop of the day on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. A recent survey of more than 7,000 Americans show that 7 out of 10 people, so that would be, if my math is correct, 70% of us, Heidi, would rather spend 6 months in hell than spend 6 months of their life without television. 70%?
No.
I'll go without TV.
I don't think that these people have any concept of what hell is.
No. Sign me up for no television. As a matter of fact, I'd go for a couple years without television before even spending a day in
That
hell.
is ridiculous.
Not
That's
a
the
good
most
thing.
ridiculous thing I have ever
Well,
heard.
but here's the thing. When they're doing studies like that where they're not going to say, okay, that's what you'd have, well, we're going to put you in hell then. You know, it's not like they're going to follow through. How could they? I mean,
But still, I mean, even just the question.
I
That's
know,
a
it's
ridiculous
ridiculous.
answer.
New studies are suggesting that not all generic drugs are the same as their name brand equals, their supposed equals. Troubling reactions and a series of recalls are making some doctors wonder if generic drugs are as safe as the FDA says they are. Now, I think by and large they are. There must be, I think what they're talking about, and I guess it doesn't say in here, but there are people who are getting drugs from other countries shipped in.
Yeah.
That's not only a bad idea.
And they're not FDA. Those are not
Those
FDA
things aren't
approved.
approved.
Though.
So if you're doing that kind of thing, just be very, very, very careful. All right, scientists are developing computer chips that can be put into food packaging to alert you when the contents go bad. So how would you like that if you open
thank you.
Open up your refrigerator and you unscrew the lid of milk and it says, this milk is sour.
So stupid.
You think so?
No, I don't think people need that. We have gone centuries and centuries and centuries without that technology. I don't
But the
think
old
we
way
need
was
it.
this.
Yeah, and that works just fine.
I don't know if it's good or bad. It smells like it's maybe bad.
No.
Yeah, everybody's leaving
don't
the
need
kitchen.
that.
It's probably bad. All right. Kids in
So
Washington,
stupid.
D.C. may be shooting it out with crooks soon. Not real crooks, of course, but plans were unveiled for a new law enforcement museum, the National Law Enforcement Museum. The exhibits would include the fine point of crime scene investigation and the chance to answer hypothetical 911 calls. So kids would actually get to strap on a headset and, take the calls. Not real ones, thank goodness. Imagine that. Somebody just shot me. All right. Thanks for calling. I'm not sure what to do next. A study by the National Institute of Health says obese children who cut back on their sugar intake see improvements in their blood pressure, cholesterol readings, and other markers of health after how long, Heidi?
Just one day.
No, just 10 days. So after 10 days, you're already on the path to being a healthier, happier you. So they're saying these. It's not instant, but it's really close to instant. A rich man from India lost his mansion and his land and all of his money because he flossed his teeth in front of a cow. Yeah. Hindus believe cattle are sacred, and acts that are seen as disrespectful to them are illegal.
How is that disrespectful?
He was flossing.
Teaching him proper hygiene.
He was flossing in front of a cow. He lost his home, which was a giant, beautiful mansion, his land, and all of his money because he flossed in front of a cow.
And who gets to make that decision? You floss in
Apparently-
front of a cow. I'm taking your house.
I believe the judge makes that decision. It would take 29 million years
Wow.
for a car traveling 100 miles per hour to reach the nearest star. Now, I don't want to be the one to tell them this, but where they're going, there are no roads. So I don't know if a car is going to do the trick. But according to this, 29 million years for a car going 100 miles an hour to reach the nearest star. I would not want to be in that car.
No.
Going to say, by the time you get there, things are going to be a bit ripe. And finally, the fur of the bitterong, I think is what it is, also known as the Asian bear cat, their fur smells like popcorn.
Oh.
Now, this is the interesting thing. The scent is believed to come from a gland located near their
anus?
tail. Well, they say near their tail, but I think Heidi's closer to the actual spot. So if that's where the scent popcorn comes from, maybe I should quit eating popcorn.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could all have popcorn farts? They wouldn't smell as bad.
No, I don't. Well, you guys been
I
watching
always
a movie in
think
here?
You're living
No.
at the movie theater.
I think that's enough of that. Coming up, we've got something else. Anything else that is on the way.
John and Heidi.
Imagine the sand between your toes and an ice-cold drink in your hand. Join us this November for 80s in the Sand.
Week-long event with 80s music from over a dozen awesome bands.
Plus, meet 80s icons from the movies like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
The website is 80sinthesand.com.
Book your week-long 80s vacation right now at 80sinthesand.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest joining us right now. She's an author and the person who started a movement, the Dream Big movement. We have Kat Kronenberg with us. Kat, how you doing?
Excellent, John. How are you?
Very good. Now, I've talked to authors quite a bit, but people who start movements, not quite as much. The Dream Big movement. Let's talk a little bit about how this got started.
Yes. Well, it got started for me, kind of a couple different facets. The actual book itself, I was at a symphony with my husband, and it whacked me over a head that I was meant to write the book about a power of a smile to help us live our best life, to empower us to live our best life. And that's kind of where it all started. And just dreaming is kind of what's kept me on course in life. Having dreams to go after has made life a grander adventure for me personally my whole life. So it was kind of a two-faceted deal.
And I like one of the things I'm reading here. It talks about, when we're kids, we dream big. We talk about, when we grow up, we want to be an astronaut or a firefighter or a president. But it seems like the older we get, the more we focus on, okay, well, I just want to get by. And we should dream a little bigger as adults, and we'd probably go further, wouldn't we?
Absolutely. And my website is built around kind of reminding us as adults with our kids to dream big, to be the mentor, to be the hero for our kids by dreaming big, and then they'll continue to dream big, you know?
And I think dreaming big is a good thing. Now, sometimes we get stuck in organizations where, you know, it's an environment of me rather than we, and if we focus on the we, you know, bigger than me, that's going to help as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. Even the proceeds from my book go to an organization at we.org, which was it's a youth-empowered movement. It started by a 12-year-old in 95, and, you know, they work throughout the world helping a youth movement that helps on all different levels.
That's really cool. So they started that in 1995 when he was just 12?
Yes, and he's a Canadian boy, and he saw that a child got murdered for standing up against child slavery. And now they fill stadiums throughout the U.S., Canada, London, that the only way kids can come to the stadiums with entertainers like Selena Gomez was the primary host last year, is the kids have to be of service for a year. They don't buy a ticket to get in. They have to have been doing service work. And then they have, you know, schools they do in Kenya. I went to Kenya to see that, Tanzania, Ecuador, all, you know, just, it's really an amazing deal, and it's really to help youth. It's a youth movement, so that's part of why my proceeds go there. And we, for me, is huge.
That's awesome. And now let's talk about your movement, because the Dream Big movement is really kind of taking off right now as well, isn't it?
I mean, you see people throughout our culture that are daring to dream kind of out of the box, and things are happening. So, yes.
Are there any specific stories that you can think of, people that have shared with you maybe something that they did because of your book, Dream Big, or because of the movement that you've started, where they said, I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to go do this. Are there some issues like that, or some instances like that you can think of?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at my book launch, I mean, it's only been 2-3 months. You know, I had a good friend that did just kind of the art for me in the beginning. You know, she's never studied it, and now she's taking classes, and another friend that's an artist that's done the same thing in Colorado. I'm in Austin, Texas, but I did a reading end of February at a school in Colorado, and I went back just last week and walked into the bookstore to see, you know, how their sales were doing. And she said, oh, my gosh, we had 2 kids going, Mom, look, that's the book. Dreams do come true. We got a dream. You know, just things like that the kids are connecting with it. And so, yes, there's all kinds of stories where people are kind of getting out of their comfort zone and going for different things, and kids are really kind of taking to heart the whole idea of dreams do come true. Let me do it, you know?
Well, and I can absolutely attest to the fact that when you dream big, you go a lot further in life, because there are a lot of people who don't set goals. There are a lot of people who, along the way, they just kind of, whatever happens in their life is what happens. But if you have a vision, you dream big, and you focus on saying, how can I make it to that, you're going to go so much further than if you just bounce around in life.
Oh, absolutely. And on my school visits, that's what I talk about a lot with the kids is, when you have a dream, life is a grander adventure. You get to wake up with a goal to go after, new people to meet, new books to read, new things to learn. It makes it so much more exciting. And, you know, I go through examples for me that, like when I was a freshman in high school, I went snow skiing for the first time, and it was the greatest thing I had ever done in my entire life. And I was like, I'm going to be an Olympic skier. And I'm like, okay, kids, what's the problem with that dream? I live in Texas, you know, and we get a laugh over it. That, you know, you get to redefine your dreams as you go. And mine was, okay, I'm going to teach my kids as soon as they grow, you know. So I have pictures of me with my kids when they're 2 years old on skis. I didn't get to be an Olympic skier, but my gosh, I've had a dream of skiing and gotten to ski and gotten good and gotten to teach my kids, you know. So dreams get to transform and change, but have them. That's my point with these kids, is have a dream. Let it morph. Let it change, you know?
That's really cool. I remember about 7 years ago, I was visiting with a young man who was a pharmacist, worked for a big pharmacy company, and was talking to me because my wife and I owned a business at that time. And he said, you know, how did you do that? Was it scary to start a business? I've always wanted to do this, but I'm just kind of afraid to do it. And we encouraged him. I said, you know, I think you'd do really well. And it was so great to see. It was about a year later, he opened his business, and he was in business for about 4 years in that location where he was renting from somebody else, however long his lease was. Maybe it was 5 years. And about 2 years ago, he built a building. He's got his own building now, and he's got people that are renting from him. And I stopped in about a week ago because I needed to get some I've got allergies this time of year. I needed to get some medication for an allergy, and I went in there, and he wasn't even working. His pharmacist that he hired was working, and I was like, how cool is that? 7 years ago, that was his job, and now he's got a guy that's doing that job for him. And I just thought, that is the American dream right there.
Absolutely. I love that. Just go for it and let it happen. That's fantastic.
And now for people who maybe are a little afraid to do that and they want to join this movement and they're going, I want to do this, but I'm afraid to do this. When they go to your website, what can they find at your website?
Well, you've got all kind of layers. You know, it's geared, well, it's really geared for every age, but they can find downloads. You can write a dream book alongside the story itself. Dream boards where you really sit down and envision. You know, there's a lot of research, psychology about seeing your dreams really, in front of you, things you really specifically want, putting them on a dream board, a vision board. It shows you how to do that, how to have fun with family and friends by drum circles, building you-can drums, pom-poms to stay. They're called pom-pom dream catchers, to stay on task when you get kind of scared or in fear. It kind of helps you through those different deals. The animals in my book, one hides and gets discouraged. One swims around in a pool of negative thinking. So it helps you kind of come up with little fun ways out of that and ask for help in doing that. It's very young but yet very old.
That's cool. The website is KatKronenberg.com, KatKronenberg.com. And I know that's something that maybe people don't spell every day, but again, if you have struggles finding it, reach out to me and I'll make sure I connect you. Kat, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
Absolutely, John. I'm thrilled to have gotten to meet you and chat with you and keep dreaming. I love that you're doing this. It's wonderful.
Well, it's been a lot of fun, and this has been a dream of ours to be able to do what we do, and this isn't something that happened overnight, but we got a chance to do it. So, folks, hang in there, and maybe someday you can do what you're dreaming of as well. If you'd like to know more about Kat, her website, KatKronenberg.com, and she is the author of the book Dream Big. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
It's almost graduation time. If you have a son or daughter finishing high school, you need to hear this. They can go to college without racking up a pile of student loans. Matthew Einstone did. He saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then he built a system to show you how to do it too. Learn how you can use this system for your kids or for yourself. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. Use promo code RADIO20 to save 20% at freeeducationuniversity.com. That's freeeducationuniversity.com.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
$26 billion in ransom is paid out in the U.S. alone in just the last 20 years. $26 billion.
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot of ransom.
I wouldn't think that's a big business anymore.
You wouldn't think so, but apparently people are coughing up the dough. Huh. By the way, so you all know, we have nothing. So if you kidnap us, you're going to just have to keep us. I want $100. Sorry. Maybe I'll give you a Snickers.
It's a half-eaten Snickers.
Yeah, it's got my teeth marks on it, but I'll give you the rest of it. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
It can take up to a month for a rattlesnake to resupply its venom. So the good news is, if you see a rattlesnake, use up all of this
Let
venom.
it bite your friend first,
Yeah,
and then you're fine.
Then you are set for a month. You got a whole month to get away. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The word moose comes from the native Algonquin Indian word meaning twig eater. So apparently moose eat twigs.
Apparently.
And our final fun fact for you,
What's
Heidi.
that, John?
Herbert Hoover, who was the 31st president of the United States, turned over all of the federal salary checks he received to charity during the 47 years he was involved in government. So he was president not for 47 years, but he was involved in government 47 years. Every single check he ever got was given to charity.
That's nice. What
That
a
is
guy.
very nice. I think that's really cool. Couple of fun facts for you right there. Oh, by the way, he's from your home state of Iowa.
Yes, he is.
We went to his boyhood home when we were
Yes,
kids.
we did.
When we were kids. No, not when we were kids, but way back when. Coming up, we've got some more fun stuff on the way on the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Are you tired of the same old 9-to-5 rat race? Sick of not controlling your financial destiny? We partner with a leading health company whose mission is to support you to build a home-based business and help others be healthier, drop excess pounds, and live longer, more rewarding lives. Best of all, everyone who joins after you is placed on your team. No bugging family or friends. Call 866-741-7242 for more information. Or if you'd like, text the word income to the same number, 866-741-7242. 866-741-7242.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday. After more than a decade as the world's favorite car color, silver is falling in popularity. All right, this is the story that I was going to share the other day, remember? Mm-hmm. And it was driving me nuts that I deleted it. So I went out and I found it because the other day we had like a little fun fact for you that was talking about the most popular car color. And then I said I got a story about that coming up. And then I never got to it because I deleted it.
Well, let's get to it before we run out of time.
Oh, we got plenty of time now. I could talk for another 2 minutes. Well, no, I couldn't. Now let's move on. PPG Industries, that's a leading supplier of automotive paints, say that 25% of the vehicles last year were white. So 1/4 of the cars on the road are white, Heidi. That's a lot.
See, a white vehicle is not a color I would ever choose.
I love white vehicles. I've had white vehicles numerous times because they're so much easier to keep clean, which sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Silver is as well. That's another reason people like silver cars. Anyway, the 25% of the vehicles last year were white. That's up 3% from the year before. Silver and black tied for second, 18% each. White dominates not only in North America, it also dominates in Europe and in Asia. Only South America still has another color as the top dog. What color do you think that is, Heidi?
Red.
No, you should have been listening because I already told you.
Oh.
Silver.
I don't listen to you.
What was that?
What?
Huh? South America.
Where does bright yellow place?
No, not even close. That's your favorite
That
color.
is my favorite car color.
I remember one time you said, I want to have this bright yellow.
I do, and then you sold it when we had to get another vehicle as
You
well.
got a different car, and then I got your hand-me-down, and I was driving a bright yellow car.
Car.
Yeah, every time I'd stop at a stop sign, people would get in thinking I was a cab. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm not a taxi.
I want another one of those, by the way.
Yeah,
I would
we're
take another one of those
we're
in
not.
a heartbeat.
That's not going to happen. If we do, I'm going to get it in writing that it is your vehicle.
That's fine.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, for those of you wondering, 25% of vehicles on the road from last year are white. So there you go. Most popular car color on the road. Coming up, we've got something about television screens and movie screens and something about screens. That's on the way.
John and Heidi.
How much do you pay for cable or satellite? Don't forget your DVR rental fees and online movie accounts. When you add it all up, many people are paying well over $100 a month. Some pay way more. What if you could cut that down to zero? There's a device that surfs the net to find shows and programs you like with no monthly fee. Many have already cut their cable or tossed out their dish. If you have internet and a TV, you're all set. Learn more about this awesome technology that can save you money every month at channelsurfertv.com. Use promo code RADIO to save 25% at channelsurfertv.com.
John and Heidi.
Have you ever heard of the word screen test?
Yeah.
This is kind of a screen test. I'm going to ask you some questions. You got to tell me. Do you watch TV with another screen in your hand?
Yes.
You may soon be in the majority. TV viewing is increasingly becoming a multi-screen experience. This is especially true for owners of tablets and smartphones in the US of A, 40% of whom use their devices on a daily basis while watching television and movies. I agree completely. We do this all the time.
Everybody in our family.
It probably drives other people crazy, but we'll be watching a movie, and then we'll see an actor or an actress, and we're like, oh, I know her from... What's she in?
Yeah, what else was she in?
And then one of us will Google it, and then we'll go through, like, during the movie... every movie she's ever been in. And we're like, yeah, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. No. That's the one. That's the one. We're like, okay, what was this movie about again? Can we go back to this one now? Anyway, more and more people, 40%, use their devices while watching television. So they're on the small screen while they're watching something on the bigger screen or even the big screen. It's happening a lot.
John and Heidi.
I think we may have talked about this in the past, but I want to ask you again. If you could take a pill to erase bad memories, would you do that?
No.
You wouldn't? You'd rather
No.
keep the bad memories?
I would keep the memories.
Now, why would you rather keep the memories?
Because I believe that everything that we have gone through makes us who we are.
Yeah.
And if you forget the things that help to mold you into the person that you are,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be that person anymore.
But here's the thing. I think there are some people who have gone through such traumatic things that it would be almost magical for them to be able to.
Oh, I believe that our
make those things
military,
go
if,
away.
if something like
Yeah.
that was available for
Well,
people
it
suffering
may
from
soon be.
PTSD.
It says soon you may be able to take a pill to erase bad memories because a widely available blood pressure pill could one day become a memory eraser, perhaps treating some anxiety disorders and phobias. The drug was shown to significantly weaken people's fearful memories of spiders and other creepy things. And they're saying that this, now that they've kind of got the tip of this iceberg, they're going, we should track down and figure out what's going on. Maybe focus on that. There are some people who really dislike the idea. There are others that are going, hey, this could be a lifesaver for people who've been through traumatic experiences. So
You would have to really be able to pinpoint, though, what it does and does not erase. I mean, what if it erases your entire memory?
That would
you
be
can't
bad.
remember your family. You can't remember anything.
who are you again?
That would be awful.
What's your name?
And I don't think that mankind should be in charge of those
Yeah, probably not.
decisions. That's all I'm saying. It's just a little.
I
It's a little
understand.
too much control.
It is a little too much. Coming up, we're going to talk about cybersecurity, and we got some other things on the way on the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
It's almost graduation time. If you have a son or daughter finishing high school, you need to hear this. They can go to college without racking up a pile of student loans. Matthew Einstone did. He saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then he built a system to show you how to do it too. Learn how you can use this system for your kids or for yourself. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. Use promo code RADIO20 to save 20% at freeeducationuniversity.com. That's freeeducationuniversity.com.
John and Heidi.
Heidi, I got two stories here that are kind of connected and kind of not, so I'm going to throw them together here. A recent study by cybersecurity researchers have found that 24% of Facebook ads selling luxury goods, keep in mind 24%, that's almost a quarter, of things like Ray-Ban sunglasses and Louis Vuitton handbags, they are counterfeit products. So about a quarter of them are not legit.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, you're telling me something on Facebook isn't real? I thought that was all reality. No? Okay, shocking. And speaking of people not being honest, it says here, law enforcement authorities are becoming increasingly worried about a sudden, sharp rise in the incidence of identity theft. The outright pilfering of people's personal information for use in obtaining credit cards, loans, and other goods. So I guess this is rampant. It has gotten harder and harder and harder for them to track things down, so this has just gotten way out of control. Here's a thing that I think is interesting, and where I kind of wanted to tie these two things together. I don't understand why people are doing this particular thing. There are people who are setting up fake Facebook accounts using my friend's photo and then refriending me.
Yeah, I don't know what the point is of that.
I always friend them, and then I copy the link and I paste it to my friend's page, the real friend, and say someone's like pretending to be you, and then I reach back out to them and say, hey, I just notified the authorities that you're not who you claim to be, and then the account goes away. So, and I send a message to Facebook and let them know, and it's funny because...
But I've never been solicited by anybody with
You
one
haven't?
of those accounts. Like, I don't know what they're
that's
looking for.
me neither, because I've
I
always...
don't know why they're doing it.
Maybe I should just wink, wink, pretend a little longer, because I've never
been asked.
I've been solicited by people I don't know who send me a friend request. I'm like, who is this? What? I don't even know who this person is. And then I'll wait, because I'm like, I'm not going to accept that friend request. And then I'll look on there and I'll see like links to other things that are always usually naughty things. I'm like, that's what's going on here. I've kind of wondered why this young lady in a bikini standing on a beach would want to be my friend.
Yeah.
Just didn't add up until all of a sudden, that's what it is. Like, I didn't fall for it this time. That's how I fell for marrying you, my beautiful wife over here. It was just a scam that went bad.
It was.
17 years later, you're stuck with me. Hey, guess what? We got some good news on the way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
I always like to wrap things up around here with some good news, and today is another day with, I think, really good news, Heidi. This is a story that I think is just kind of a sweet story from Newton, Kansas. You think that's where they make Fig Newtons?
I don't know.
I don't know where they make them. But a high school senior from Newton, Kansas, made sure his promposal was a special one. Shaden Weddle asked his best friend's little sister, Carrie Whitman, who has Down syndrome, to the dance. And the heartwarming moment was captured on video. You just can't stop smiling when you watch this video. And I'm sure that'll be the same for everybody that watches it. If you have a chance, I've got a link to it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. And there are times that you just need a little pick-me-up throughout the day.
Yep, absolutely.
Where you're hearing all kinds of negative things. And we even get some of that here, but, I try to filter. We don't talk about the really bad negative things here.
Right.
We just don't, because I'm like, you know what? You got a lot of choices to hear the negative, terrible stuff. We're going to try to talk about fun things that make you smile.
Right.
And things like this one right here, fun things that make your heart feel warm. And that's the stuff we share on our Facebook page, too. So for those of you who are on Facebook, if you're not already a fan, become one. If you're not on Facebook, we understand. I'm not going to make you go on there for that. But I think our page is set up where I think you can see it even if you're not a fan, can't you?
I have no idea.
I think so. It is. I don't know. I set it up where there's you can, it's open to everybody. So I think you can. Facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. This little video here where this young man is inviting this young lady to the prom, and it just, you can tell it means the world to her. I think it's cool to know that there are good kids out there.
Yep.
So many times, all you hear about are the naughty, bully, mean, awful, angry kids, and there's a lot of those too, and it's really sad because nowadays it is so easy to pick on people. You don't even need to be near them. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can pick on them from the comfort of your own room, hiding behind a screen, and it's really sad. And if you know people who do that, tell them to quit doing that. That's just not good.
Yeah.
We just recently talked to a young lady that was being bullied by somebody, and you should see what it does to that person. It's not good. So if you're doing that kind of thing, you should stop. It's not good at all. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday.